What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Monday. It is April 14th here, Pacific Standard Time in the morning. Pretty exciting market, in my opinion, to be following right now because we did have a little bit of a Bitcoin surge last night, Sunday night here. And right now, I would say, what is Bitcoin doing right now, right? How to actually spot Bitcoin's next move, okay? So I am going to be pulling up my regular charts here, right? I am going to be focusing on some time frames where Bitcoin still looks good. I am also going to be talking about some time frames where Bitcoin does not look so good. Okay, we are still going to be following the patterns that Bitcoin is still trying to break out from because it is still in that resistance range. And until Bitcoin actually breaks out of that range, it's still going to be quite a bit of a push and pull here, okay, between the bulls and the bears. But, in my opinion, bulls are winning right now, and there are still some pretty bullish signals even on the smaller time frames. So let's dive into the charts and see what I am talking about. Okay, so let's just come over to the weekly time frame first. Let's do a quick recap of what has happened since the price action last week got pretty crazy. Price action did come down to about 74,000 ish, which was basically where the weekly 50 SMA is at. And that is basically the white line here. Okay, it held, okay, with a pretty bullish candle for the weekly time frame, so that is looking good on the weekly time frame. Coming down to the 3-day time frame, this is also very important because there was a very clear double bottom here, right? Double bottoms are usually bullish patterns. Okay, now let's see if the bulls can actually break out of this double bottom pattern. Still going to be the talk of the week, I would expect, because these are 3-day candles. Okay, we have the 3-day 21 SMA right above the price action, currently about 86, 87 range, right? That is going to be a pretty thick range of resistance that you need to be looking out for. Okay, we are also at the daily 50 SMA, and of course, in my opinion, the most important of which would be the 87.5 range, which would be about the where the daily 200 SMA is at, the orange line. Okay, so that is something to be looking out for. Sorry, my dog is coughing. So that is something to be looking out for. And of course, if the Bulls are actually able to reclaim this level, that would be looking very good for the Bulls. Okay. All right, that'll be looking very good for the Bulls if it could reclaim 87.5. Of course, the next level up you guys need to be paying attention to is going to be about 89,000, which is basically the neckline of that double bottom pattern. Okay. Still, we are looking at a higher time frame, daily, 3-day, weekly, right, for these resistances. Of course, Bitcoin could do something pretty sudden. I have seen it before, especially if price action has been consolidating in a range for quite some time, which we have. So I definitely would not count that out. That is just my opinion, right? And if the Bulls are actually able to break out of that 89,000, then we are looking at a price target of about 104,000. Okay, that is just by the book, technical analysis, price target. It is an estimate. It could be more, it could be less. Okay, but it's still very important to get a good idea of where the price action could go if it could actually break above certain levels or break below certain levels, right? Now let's go. Let's come over here to the 12-hour time frame, which is basically a shorter time frame. I'm still looking at where we are still getting a higher low here. Okay, talked about this yesterday. Okay, where we had a higher low, right? And we still have that higher low right now. So this is the time frame I am looking at. And unless we actually break this higher high, higher low trajectory, it is still looking very good right now. Of course, we are at the top trend line that I am projecting, right? For a possible falling wedge scenario too, which is the downside of this price action right now, which we'll get to, okay? But we are at the top trend line of a possible falling wedge scenario, which tells me, if this double bottom pattern gets invalidated, then I am estimating the downside to be the bottom trend line. And we are currently at the resistance of that. And if we actually could break above that, that will look very good for the bulls, okay? And we are actually right there right now, and very important to be paying attention to this right now, because if this higher high, higher low trajectory actually breaks, then the bulls could be, seeing some downside, okay? At least in the short term, right? Let's come down. So 12 hours still looks good, right? We still have a higher low. We're trying to make a higher high. Let's see if we can put that in. Now, 6 hour, we're trying to get back above the 6 hour 200 SMA, the orange line, okay? I don't see bearish divergence on the RSI yet. Very important concept to know as well. That is basically, the RSI telling you that there is weakness in the price action, but I don't see that yet. So that is still a good sign on the 6 hour. 4 hour time frame, we're still looking good as well. I don't see bearish divergence yet, but we do need a higher high on, like I said, the 12-hour time frame. From the 3 hour down, then I am seeing, some bearish divergence, some weakness in the price action. So let me go ahead and illustrate what I mean. So we have a higher high here on the price action chart. This is the 3 hour time frame, and you have a equal or lower high on the RSI. In this case, I still call this an equal high on the RSI. It's just, it's very close, but it's bearish divergence to me. Okay. So, it is on a moving average, right? If this moving average does not hold, then it's going to come down to the next moving average, right? You guys can look on your shorter time frames and see what that is. It could be the 2 hour 50 moving average, right? So on a shorter time frame, from the 3 hour down, it's not looking so good because there is some bearish divergence, and I am looking for, if the bulls were actually to continue on the shorter time frame, then I'm looking for an invalidation of these bearish divergences, right? In order for it to continue upward on the smaller time frame, right? So that is basically what I am looking at. Of course, none of what I'm saying is financial advice. It's purely my opinion, speculations. I have been wrong before, right? And I am speaking mainly from probabilities. Nothing in this market is 100%, okay? It's all about probabilities and how you risk manage. Now, let's go ahead and go to the stock market chart. S&P 500 futures. Very important because it gives you a pretty good idea of, it's highly correlated with Bitcoin, so it gives me a pretty good idea of front running signals potentially for Bitcoin, and of course for the rest of the crypto markets, because the rest of the crypto markets is affected by Bitcoin. We do see some weakness in the shorter time frames as well. Bearish divergence. This is the hourly time frame. However, if we actually zoom all the way out to the weekly time frame here, we got a very good bounce last week, since bouncing off that support at about 4,800. And this is the weekly time frame. If we're actually looking into a smaller time frame here, just zooming in on the 3-day time frame, still looking very good. Still a pretty good bounce here, right? Even looking at the RSI. Very simple but effective indicator, okay, the RSI. Now, if the daily time frame here still looks very good, very strong bounce, if we actually able to continue to hold this level, not get daily candle closes above 5,100, that would still look very good. Otherwise, it could potentially come back here for a double bottom or even a lower low, but I would still expect, bullish divergence coming from the next bottom, right? Just because of how strong that bounce was. Let's come over here to the just smaller time frame. Still looking good. 12 hour, still higher high and higher low, right? And so I think the 12-hour is very important to be paying attention to right now because that is where we're still seeing that uptrend trajectory. All right. I think we could just stop here. 12-hour time frame. That is basically what I'm looking at. We'll come back here for another update tomorrow. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, questions. I will definitely answer them in the videos. See you later. Have a beautiful day.